Hello everyone, welcome back to another video collaboration with the creative design team. I'm Julie, and in this video I'm going to share a few tips on how to work with busy pattern paper. Now I did some stash diving and I pulled out this Blue Sky paper collection. It's a retired collection, but I really liked this paper right here. However, this one here really scared me. Now that's busy paper, wouldn't you agree? So my first tip is, when you are working with busy paper, try turning your photos to black and white. Now this is a photo of my daughter when she was much younger, and she ran outside, she had her pajamas on, and her clothes did not match this color palette at all. So turning these pictures to black and white is really going to help. The next thing I'm going to use for this project is I'm going to use these adhesive sheets. Now I've had them for a while and I'm going to take them out for a spin because I think that they are going to work very nicely with what I'm trying to do with my title. Now I'm going to use my title in this really nice pink color here. You've got the light side and the dark side. So I'm going to use the light side, so I'm matching colors within that busy pattern. I've gone ahead here and I've cut it down to size, and there's like two sides to this. One is like really slick and one is a bit matte. I'm going to pull back on the slick side and I'm going to expose some of the adhesive right here. Now if you were to pull back on this entire piece, it would be quite difficult to line up your piece of cardstock. So I'm just going to pull this back. And I'm going to use my cardstock right here. I want to make sure I'm using the right side because I know that I want to use the light side of this cardstock. So I'm just going to pop this right here at the top. You just have to make sure you get it on straight from the start. And I'm just going to press that down very gently, and then I'm just going to pull back. And I found that this was the easiest way to use these larger adhesive sheet. I'm just going to run my bone folder across it just to make sure there's no bubbles, but there really wasn't any. And now I'm going to put this on my Cricut mat. Now I'm going to put this face down on the Cricut mat, and I'm going to press it into place just to make sure that it sticks down nicely. And then one thing you have to remember is that if you're cutting a title, you have to use the mirror function. So we're going to go ahead and cut that out. And now you can see that I've got my title and I've cut it four times. So I am going to pull back on my cardstock very gently, and it comes off nicely. So I use the glitter paper setting on my Cricut machine to cut through both the cardstock and this adhesive sheet right here. So the next step you want to do is you want to peel your title off, and this title is kind of dainty, so you have to be nice and gentle when you peel that off. So I've got my sticker ready to go on the back side. So I'm going to pull these off camera, and we're going to address the title in just a minute. So let's take a look at this layout now that I've got all of my Cricut pieces cut. So I did mat my photos, and again, because they're black and white, they will stand out on this busy pattern. And I'm pulling in what I like to call here an oversized photo mat. So it's going to do two things. It's going to break up the pattern paper, and it's going to show off the photos. I'm also adding a large heart in the same tones as the pattern paper, and I know you've seen that throughout our series where we try and match cardstock colors to the busyness of the pattern paper just to make everything work cohesively. So I'm going to go ahead here and I am going to add all of my titles together, and I'm going to use the adhesive, and I'm just going to pull them back, and let's see how easy that is. Now I'm using my all-purpose mat for this application, and you're going to see why in just a minute. I'm going to pull back on this backing right here, and I found that using the piercing tool was really good. It was very helpful. That way I wasn't kind of sticking my fingers all over my cut image, because again, it's kind of delicate at this point. One of the reasons why I like to layer my titles, first, it gives them dimension and they look more substantial. And secondly, it gives them more stability. So I'm going to pull this back, and then I'm just going to pop it on. Now I'm not sticking it down really hard, I'm just popping it into place. So the next step is I'm going to layer all of these cut pieces together. So I'm not going to show you the entire process, but I just want you to get an appreciation for how sticky or not these adhesive sheets really are. So by pulling them back and using your piercing tool, you can see that it's quite easy to pull back on the backing. And then I'm going to pop that right on. So I am using my hands here, and I'm just going to line that together. So it lines up quite nicely actually. And I'm just going to kind of push it in place very gently. And I'm going to do that for all 4 layers. Now you can see here that I kind of got snagged up a tiny little bit on the adhesive, but for the most part, this is pretty easy compared to using liquid glue. I would say that this is much easier, and my fingers don't get full of glue at the end of it all. So I'm going to go ahead here and repeat that process for all 4 layers. And then I'm going to pop it onto this shadow piece. Now I'm just going to lift it off of the mat, and at this point here, it's a lot easier to handle because there's 4 layers of cardstock, so it's not as delicate to work with, but you still have to be careful as you're peeling it off. So I'm going to pop this right onto this shadow, and again I used white to separate from the busy paper and the title. So by adding just a little bit of white borders all around and a solid piece, you're kind of separating the busyness, if you want, from what you are trying to highlight. So in this case, I'm trying to highlight the sentiment, the title, and the photos. I'm going to press this in with my bone folder, and I'm just making sure that everything is nice and secure. So I'm just going to rub it all on those letters. And I think I like these adhesive sheets. They're easy to work with. There's no mess anywhere, and my fingers aren't all sticky. So that's a win. All right, so let's put this page together. So I've got my cut pieces here, and I did add this one. I felt that it needed a little bit more division between the busyness and the solid pieces. So I'm liking that a little bit more. It gives a little bit more of a break for your eye when you're looking at the whole page. So let's glue this together. Now this is the back side of that busy paper. Holy, isn't this busy as well? So if you like this side better because of your photos, you can totally do it on this side. And all of the pieces that I've cut still match because everything matches really seamlessly when you're working with close to my heart pattern paper and cardstock. So we're going to add this to the base page, which is white. Now in hindsight, I probably should have hollowed that out, but for the purpose of this video, I'm just going to pop that right into place, just like so. So once again here, I am using this nice white border to kind of give a little bit of a rest from all that busyness. This nice big heart is also kind of giving this other element to the page and breaking up this background paper. So I'm going to pop my photos right here on my oversized photo mat, and now they stand out. Even though this busy pattern paper is quite substantial, I must say. I think my photos still pop off this page. Now, the story behind these two photos were my daughter, who was 7 at the time, was really excited looking outside. It was probably a Sunday morning. I was still in my PJs, so was she. And there was something outside that caught her eye, and it was this cute little bird. Now, this little bird got injured. I'm not entirely sure how, but he allowed her to get right next up to him, or her, who knows. And we did nurse it back to health, or gave him a little bit of a resting spot. And the next day he went off his merry way. So she was quite happy to save this little bird, and so was I. It was kind of one of those cute little moments. So I'm going to add my title right here. I'm going to pop it just slightly onto that photo. So as for the journaling, I was going to do strips, as you've seen Erin do time and time again. I do like that style, but I felt that I needed to keep it all in one block at the bottom, just again to separate the busyness of this paper. So I hope that you've picked up a few tips on how to use busy pattern paper. And if you've enjoyed this video, hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe to see more crafty projects. Now, if you want to see the entire playlist from the creative design team, you can click right here. Don't forget to come back and see what we have in store for you next month. We have some pretty awesome news to share with everyone. Have yourself a fantastic day, and I will catch you in the next video.